Hey there, kids!
Hey there, Alex here, and I don't really have a script for this, to be honest. Nah, I don't know. Welcome to episode 3, I think. Give me 1 second. Yes, this is indeed episode 3 of Making the Summoner's Rift League of Legends map in Minecraft, part 3, basically. That's the title of this video. You saw it in the title, you know what this is about. Let's get started with this, baby. But before I start that... So this is me before I started editing, so you can see like, oh yeah, it's like the 8 streams I did on YouTube and Twitch. I stream on YouTube and Twitch, so if you're curious, yes. Granted, some of these videos are very short, like this one is short, but they're all like 1, 2, 6 hours of like content. You can watch them. The streams. I talk sometimes in those, and so I decided, you know, I downloaded them all. Like I downloaded all the VODs, and then I did this, and and so I endeavored in resignating myself to editing down 31.9 gigabytes of video. Granted, I'm going to speed up most of it, and maybe I won't even use some of the parts of it, but hey! I have to watch 39 or 31 I'm tired. So I basically started working on adding all the outlines and adding all the detail to the floor, like you can see in the background here. That's super duper fast. I also started doing a lot of the ladder work and shit. I don't know, it's fucking weird. You'll see this in the background for a long while here. After I was finished with that, I started making the little shopkeep thing here. It's like a moose looking thing. It's this thing basically, this thing in League. I made the basic shape of the animal. I added all the detail and like weapons shit on top of it. I didn't make the Yordle though, so I'm sorry about that. I'll have to 3D model a Yordle to the shopkeep. You can see there a little section of me writing some weird shit. You can read through that if you want to, by the way. That'll be a little Easter egg in the map. I started adding like little bits of moss, and I started building down like the little pit next to it. Then I started making a lot of the pillars. It was quite difficult to make those pillars, to be honest. I had to position them correctly, and I didn't even position one of the pillars correctly. So that was awesome. After I finished doing all that, I decided to do some weird ass crap and like the pit. It didn't really come out well, so I didn't do that. There you can see me looking through the map, like taking screenshots, because I needed a frontal view of the fountain. So after I got that frontal view and I got like a few screenshots of other stuff that I needed, like for example the side of the wall there, I was just looking through the whole map here. I found like a little spot with a secret, but there, I basically on day 5 I started working on a lot of the detail on the shopkeep. I finished adding a lot of the detail there, and then I started destroying the wool pillars to see how it would look, and yeah, it was looking pretty good. I was basically destroying my progress, but hey. Then it was starting to add like a few little base details, just mapping out all the details on every single pillar. I had to rotate and create every single one, then like edit it so it looks good. Then I had to basically make every single pillar match that style and add arches to it. I had to make those arches look good, obviously, using reference from one of the League of Legends screenshots I had. After I was done with that, I started adding the turret base, basically mapping out what the main fountain turret would look like. Also, you can see my little fiddle moving his hand. That's really entertaining. I don't know. I just like it. Here I was showing off how they look compared to each other. You can see a little snippet of my background there. I converted it all to stone. Then I started to add detail to the main fountain turret. I basically used copper blocks and stuff to add detail to it. I would basically look at the reference there constantly, and then I started to add a lot of the foliage that this place needed. So I had tons of like leaf blocks and like combined the fruit roots and stuff. I added a tree. I added a ton of detail to this. It was crazy actually. I added some grass to it so that it looked more naturey and it looked more nicer. I then made the pit bigger. There I show the comparison again. I then tried to see how it would look at night, and the pit didn't really look as good, so I tried adding lights, and well, then I just ended up removing it. Day 6, I continued working a little bit on the fountain, but then I started working on a lot of the other stuff. Like for example, I started working on making the ladder look better. I added a few pieces of grass, a few pieces of moss. I just started basically making everything look good. In which case afterwards I started mapping out the core, or rather the main inhibitor of the whole spawn. I started adding a lot of the detail, mapping out every single piece. I made the pit of the core really deep, and then I started making the core itself, where the giant diamond thing that explodes is. Keep in mind I might animate this later, I don't really know. But yeah, that's basically just making the whole core. Then I started adding all the detail with copper and stone and all that stuff. It looked pretty cool. I made the main gem made out of glass, so it looks reflective and stuff with shaders. Afterwards, I started adding a lot of the details, like slabs to make its stuff look good, and some pressure plates, just adding lots of tiny little details. Afterwards, I started mapping out the turrets and the base and everything. I had to make them in a diagonal way because, well, it's not really in a very straight format. So I started making those things. They looked pretty cool, in my opinion. Afterwards, I made a few banners for like the face and stuff. After I was done creating all that, and then I added some finishing details, all I had to do was copy paste and paste another one, and then there you had the two main core pillars. Here you can see that both of them align perfectly. I had to slow this down so you could see a good reference on how much progress I did. And yeah, it looks pretty damn good. I wanted to like zoom it in quite a bit so that you could see the two things together. But yeah, that's how it looks. I really do like how this little end product looked here. So I continued on working on the stuff. I started editing out a little piece of mountain because that mountain is not there. I had to start making a pit and stuff. Then I just decided to just world edit it out because it was just too much of a chunk to let it there. There you see it's day 6 now. I started to add little detail to make the transition more smoother between the mountain and that giant pit. And afterwards, I started just adding little details because I had to modify the spawn area. So I had to move one of the pillars completely, just to make it match more of the League of Legends maps. Here you can see me building up the mountains again. I was basically using the wand tool with the orb and stuff and just making it set stone. Here you can see me setting a little bit of plants. And here you can see me start making the wall. This is the wall that's right next to the spawn, and it's pretty cool. I really do like this wall. It came out looking really nice. So here, you can see me like adding all the details, measuring stuff out, looking at reference constantly. Trust me, when you're making stuff like this, you're gonna need a lot of reference, especially when it comes to these little statues, so that they match perfectly. I wanted these statues to look as good as possible, so I just used a lot of reference and a lot of screenshots actually, because it would lag when I had League open and Minecraft open with shaders on at the same time while streaming. So I had to do this. I basically took a lot of screenshots and stuff, and I just made this giant statue. Afterwards, I had to convert it to stone and andesite and light gray wool, and I had to copy paste it and paste it on the other side and had to make it match perfectly. Afterwards, I made a giant tunnel. I world edited it down to make it flat, and that would basically be the arch that the wall has in the game. Afterwards, I added more detail to the wall because it wasn't quite matching as perfectly as I wanted it to, but after I did these modifications, it matched quite perfectly. Sorry, I had to take a breather there. Afterwards, I basically continued adding a few details. I had to remove a lot of the water that was there. It was a little bit bothersome to have that there. Afterwards, I started mapping out the areas so that the turrets could be aligned perfectly. Afterwards, I had to rotate these turrets because they weren't in the like straight format. I had to modify the turrets so that they matched perfectly. I made it so it looks looking straight forward. Afterwards, I added the inhib, I mapped it out, I made everything and basically repeated the same steps I did for the main core, only now with a tinier format and a tinier inhib to work with. So I had to reduce the size of the stuff I did. Here I'm adding a lot of the detail with stone and copper and stuff. So yeah, I basically made the little core the same thing with glass and stuff and stone, using the red wool to map it out. And afterwards, it was as easy as just taking, like here you can see me showing it off a little bit. And here I'm basically adding the details and stuff of the floor. I basically just had to copy paste this side to the other side, and that was basically it for top lane and bot lane. Here you'll see me copy paste and try to match it. Like I'm rotating it constantly, and there it finally matched perfectly. Afterwards, I had to align everything in mid, so I made a line from the core to the edge of mid. Then I just had to rotate the pieces so that they fit perfectly for the inhib, because I didn't make an inhib for mid lane. I started copying a lot of it, and then I basically had to rotate, and copy the wall, because the other side of the top lane didn't have a wall yet, so I just copy paste the bot lane wall and just did that. And here you can see me going around in the League of Legends perspective testing stuff out. I thought it looked really cool. Oh, there you saw me draining the water out. It was a lot of water, to be honest. And there I was looking through the screenshots. Everything looked pretty good. I liked how everything matched. Day 7, I started making a lot of the trees. Basically, all the trees had to be made by hand, since I didn't want to download schematics or anything. I didn't know if they were going to fit with the size that they were, so I decided to just make the trees myself and just copy paste those same, I think it was like 4 trees, again and again, basically. One of the trees was a smaller tree, the other 3 were like big trees that I just copy pasted constantly everywhere. The smaller trees were for like the spawn area, so I had something smaller to use. Here you can see me saving the schematics. It's been a while since I've used World Edit, so I didn't really remember how to do schematics quite correctly. And here you see me looking at the screenshots and placing all the trees in the general area of where the trees should go, because I can't really get everything accurately because the Minecraft is limited by its blocks, and I can't really, you know, do that. Here you can see me building up a little piece of a mountain, because a lot of the wall on the top lane side is covered up by mountain and trees and stuff. It's weird. So I basically had to do that on all of top lane, and just built up a mountain, added grass, then I started adding all the trees. Basically using the brush tools, I had like full control of terraforming and stuff. I'm so sorry that everything is so sped up, but there was no way I could cram 1 hour, 6 hours into like 10 minutes. So I had to do something different. And well, this is the result. Here I'm building the top lane mountain that appears in the graphic I saw. It's basically this graphic here. I'll put it up on the screen. You can see there it has like a huge mountain appearing on the top lane side. And I had to remake something that looked similar. Obviously it's not completely correct, so I'll have to modify it later, but for now that's good enough. Here you saw me outroing there for a sec. I like closed the whole thing and everything. Day 8, I started working on adding the outer details, basically those walls that you see on the edge of the map. You'll see here in a sec, I'm basically just mapping out stuff with lime wool and purple wool. I ended up just using the lime wool eventually, and here you can see me carving out the little pieces of the wall. I still have to add the barrier in between these 2 walls that appears in the game, but apparently those don't render when you pause a replay, so I'll have to take a few screenshots when I'm playing a normal game. Or simply make it so the replay is unpaused and I can just take a screenshot of it when the barrier's up. That way I can make the barrier accurately. And I still don't know what I'm going to make that barrier out of, but hey, it's going to be made out of something. I added the fire to all the stuff, I started adding the little stairs below, and we're getting very close towards the end of everything I recorded, or rather everything I streamed. You can see here I put a lot of dedication to make the stairs look good. I kept looking at the screenshots constantly, because it was really hard to see how these looked and make them look good. And apparently they're mostly spaced out by 3 blocks, so that's that. I then later decided to look at all this, and around here my friend Tony messaged me that I had to go do something with him. By something I mean playing a ranked game in League of Legends. So I went and did that, and I had to basically speedrun myself making these stairways. So here you can see me kind of speedrunning a little bit. There might be a section where you can see him messaging me. I don't know when though. The little notification will pop up at any time. Yeah, it's like around here where I was basically outroing, and that was basically it. Well, that's all for this third part here. I basically made everything on blue side here. I created this little thing here like that. I made the shop here. I made this like spawn area. And well, I worked on a lot of stuff here. I'm just really proud of it. I'm just going to go into first person right now. Let me turn this back on. And yeah, I just had lots of fun building all of this. It was incredible, to be honest. The one thing I like especially is looking over on this side with the mountain and stuff, with all the trees. It looks really nice. I really do enjoy how all this looks. I had a blast making this blue side, and I can't even wait to experience what red side will look like. It's just going to be so much fun. It's going to be really entertaining to just go through this all over again. And yeah, I just get to enjoy these shaders a little bit more. Here I'll like show you a little bit now that everything is slowed down. Like this is all the stuff I made for the statue and diagonal. It looks really nice. This is all the cores and stuff. This diagonal core still has to have the pit, you know. But here's this core that actually has a pit, and it looks really nice. This is a straight-on look turret. Looks really nice. And here's the 2 turrets, but with the main spawn core with it. Nothing can beat how nice the spawn look. If you're curious how it looks from the League of Legends perspective, this is how it usually looks, and you just move around like this. And yeah. I really do love how everything turned out. And yes, this is the little creature thing like here. You can look at it while everything is slowed down. I'm sorry for it being all sped up like that, but hey, I had to do something. And you were going to see this at the end anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I had so much fun doing all this. It was great. I hope you guys have a really nice day. I hope you guys were able to watch the whole video all through, and that, I don't know, you had some interesting stuff to say about it. A lot of the stuff in the background was so sped up that you couldn't really know what I was doing. Of course, I could have just sliced everything so that it wasn't sped up, but if you really want to see me build everything piece by piece, you can always watch the YouTube stream little thing, like the video on my stream tab on my YouTube channel, and you can just look at it at 2x speed, because, well, it's going to be a lot of me just talking and doing random stuff. But you can look at those and you can just watch through them and see what you like and what you don't like. There's just a lot of stuff you can do. So yeah, anyways, that's pretty much it. My name is Alexis, and I'll just see you until I actually make red side, which will practically be in the same amount of time. So it should take me somewhere around a week and a half to just make red side, and I bet it'll take me way longer to make everything that's like jungle and stuff. But yeah, well, I'll see you well, then, bye-bye. Hope you liked the video. For real, I hope you liked the video. Also, like and subscribe. Bye. Also, share the video. Share it. Share it to everyone you know. Share it to every Reddit. Bring me out to the world. Ha!